Hi, it's Hazel, and welcome to my channel, Hazel Anaka Design. I hope that this is going to be a quick video, but I also hope that it checks a few boxes. I have been gratified to see a number of new people subscribe to my channel. I love you for taking that leap of faith and putting your faith in me. So welcome. Thank you for being here. And for those returning subscribers, thank you as well for being there for the long term and for coming back regularly. So when, well, I can't speak for anyone but myself, I guess. When I'm thinking about what to do on a video, there are several competing needs. So and this isn't necessarily in order for importance, but I'll just tell you that number one, I said it's not in order of importance, but the first one, well, no, you know what I mean. I'm going to spit out a few things and you guys figure out which comes first. I think I definitely want to be true to myself. I want to do what I want to do. And if that sounds like a 2-year-old speaking, well, hey, so be it. But seriously, there's no point in me doing any of this if I don't want to do this, because it's going to hurt me and it's going to be evident to you. So, life's too short for that. Given the new subscribers, I suspect that many of them are beginners, new to the game, wondering what is this all about? What is the language? Why do people use these terms? Which incidentally, you should watch my video about junk journal jargon, I think it was, or something to that effect. But I also hope that for people who are experienced and know what to do with napkins, in this case, that it will serve as a reminder and a refresher. Like those of us who've been doing this for a while, yeah, we know a lot of stuff. We know a lot of stuff. We have a lot of stuff. But sometimes we forget about the stuff we have, or we forget to do a certain technique, or we just need a little refresher. And with the, so we need the reminder, but we also need the refresher. I think that there are still people out there who are making working with napkins unnecessarily messy and difficult. You're not going to find this kid using Mod Podge, let me tell you that. That stuff stinks, and I don't like the stickiness of it. And I've also been down the road of using, watered down white glue, and like, I don't know that I've used matte medium because that's rather an expensive option, in my opinion. So anyway, let's get to it. You'll see by this color palette here and some of the other napkins I have kind of on hand that I am doing some pieces, building up my supply, so to speak, for my blush colored journal. Now, and there might be something purple in here as well. Anyway, let's begin at the beginning. Most napkins are 2 or 3 plies. Sometimes they come apart almost like, if you notice this corner when I was playing around with it, it came apart just like that. I maybe looked at it the right way. Most of the time, though, there will be a 3rd ply, and I find that the best way to do it is to use a piece of Scotch tape. I just kind of discreetly in one corner, like this is printed, edge to edge. So, but if it was a napkin that had, for instance, a lot of white space around, you'd want to work off to the edge where you're not going to be, potentially damaging the area that you wanted to use. So this comes apart, if I can get that tape off my finger, this comes apart quite nicely. But again, if it doesn't, it's not the end of the world, because in most likelihood, you're not going to use the napkin in one great big chunk. Incidentally, don't throw this away. You can use it to dab at the corners of your mouth when you're eating your lunch. You can use it to stamp on. You can use it, like sometimes you can see that part of that design went through to the next layer. So this could even be, collaged onto something and create a bit of a background. So don't throw these away. Anyway, okay, so we have our napkin. Let me just show you a few other things. I did some pieces ahead of time. I just had them under my glue mat here a bit so they would stay a little bit flatter. We'll get back to that in a moment. Anyway, so we see that this is obviously going to be perfect for the blush one. Just put that aside for the time being. This, and of course, you save, I save every little scrap. So this, I think I got this from somewhere. No, over here. I think it was over here. Anyway, it's not a puzzle. We're not trying to put this back together, but I did tear this away from here somewhere. So you can definitely isolate a part of a design. Now, some people like to use a water pen and sort of, I don't know if mine is, oh yeah, it is. I'll just quickly, oh no, that's a sprayer. I maybe don't have it right here. It's probably with my paintbrushes. Anyway, so, and it doesn't have to be a water brush. It can be an ordinary paintbrush. Dip it in some water. Essentially draw, or if I wanted that tulip, essentially draw around it. And of course, where it's wet, it becomes weak and it tears away. Now, somehow I always have done it dry. I don't know. And the more irregular the edge, the better, because it will then just bleed into the paper that you're attaching it to, and will look very natural. Now, I, of course, could, that color would probably work for me as well. But anyway, we've got that. This is a new one. These are bits and pieces, or here's part of a new one. So you can see I save everything. Now, this was a regular, a very geometric thing. So if a person wanted to, cut along the lines, that would work too. This is another one that I think is going to be beautiful, and I did use some of it already. Luckily, it was, here's another piece. The kind that is printed on all 4 quarters. So that's good. I also love this one. Anyway, I would be remiss if I didn't do a little sales pitch here and tell you that I do have napkin bundles for sale in my Etsy shop. I'm in the process of putting them in my coffee shop and on the Maker's Market. And basically how I chose to do it, and look at these tulips. The way I chose to do it was by themes. So I have a Paris theme, and I have a pretty in pink theme, a nature theme, teals, there's even a gray black bundle, so pretty well anything that you might desire. Anyway, let me show you what I've done so far in preparation. So, if you've watched me for a while, you probably know that I really love index pages. So this is out of one book, and it was obviously glued in, so when you tear it out, you've got that. But I also have these that are, oh my goodness, I forgot to turn some light on, and it's evening. It's almost, it's after 10. How bad is the light here? I'm so sorry. This is, oh yeah, this is from an atlas. And these pages are big, so I have several of these ready to go. And of course, it doesn't have to be this kind. It could be anything your little heart desires. The only thing to remember, though, I guess, is that if it's dark, like if say for instance I had black paper, I thought, oh, that's going to be so dramatic. No, not really, because it will obscure and change what you're seeing in terms of the napkin color and the napkin design. So as a rule, you want something lighter in color. Music page is always another good one. And this, I just took this little vintage book apart, and it's still kind of within reach here. And these are signatures. Most of them are signatures. So, I definitely want to use them because the paper is nice, the color is good, and they're pretty darn cute. Anyway, so I used this napkin, or 2 pieces of this napkin, on this. So now I've got a signature page or a folio, that is going to be, so sometimes if you have things that didn't adhere well, you can either give it a touch more glue, or you can just rip it off, depending how you feel. Now, I just want to say that when you have, so basically I tore around the design. Now, when push comes to shove, I may, I should have put that towards the top of the page, and then I could have folded up mind you, maybe I could do an upper tuck. Anyway, that's immaterial. I could also cut this down. But when you have an irregular shape like that, it is and what I use is glue stick, and glue stick only. When you have an irregular shape, it's kind of hard to know where to put the glue, because of course I put the glue on the paper, not on the napkin. Most napkins would not do well if you tried to put the glue on the napkin. It would tear. The advantage of using glue is, number one, you're not dirtying brushes, you don't have anything stinky that you're dealing with, and it is essentially pretty dry. So, it's almost dry when it, by the time you finish smoothing it out, it's essentially ready to work with. So what I had done was I had taken a pencil and sort of did an outline of where I should be putting my glue. Now, I don't know if it was a crummy eraser. I didn't press hard like, little kids in grade 1 when they're learning to print. So I wasn't squeezing the life out of the pencil. So I don't know what the issue was, but in places you can see that I couldn't really erase it. Again, not the end of the world. And probably if it's a case of the lesser of two evils, it's probably better to have a faint pencil line that you can't get rid of, as opposed to having glue smeared all over everywhere. And I see that as I'm doing that, I have another little area that needs a touch-up. And again, 2 choices: glue it down or rip it off. In the beginning, and it does, guys, it does take a little bit of practice. Let's not kid ourselves. If you don't mind wrinkles, like this, I would say is pretty darn smooth. Pretty perfect, if I do say so myself. Sometimes it doesn't go as well. And if you end up with wrinkles and ridges and so on, you can tell yourself and the world that that's exactly how you wanted to do it. Because frankly, it's another legitimate technique. It adds texture. It adds more of a sort of a rustic or a grungy look, especially if you were to touch, say your vintage photo ink pad, blender brush or whatever to it. That would be totally legit. And I, for one, would believe you. I also cut a smaller piece. Yeah. Now, I could have doubled it, I suppose. I did turn back part of it and glue it down so that, like if this would be a pocket. So if I cut a notch there, and that's where the wear and tear would be, it's a little stronger. And, this was easy enough to do because it's, like I say, a very rectangular or grid type pattern. So, obviously, any of these things can be further decorated if you so choose. Now, these were just scrap pieces, and those drawers that Michael sells, for holding crafts. Oh, I guess I shouldn't waste my time cutting that off with that. I'm going to get rid of this rough edge here, and this obviously was narrower than the paper, so I'll straighten that out and cut that off. But anyway, I have a whole drawer of just napkin scraps there. So I don't know if this was a one of or why I just had this one piece, but now it's down, now it's done. And these will more than likely be backed and become journal cards. And they're beautiful in and of themselves. But of course, most of us can't leave well enough alone. So I'm sure I will be adding something to that. So let me show you how I do this. So let's do this little lilac. Now, is that not going to be perfect? So it's just a matter of, like you can see this book had some water damage, so maybe I'll just try to find a sheet that doesn't look quite so. And I think I will, maybe I'll just use that because that might be kind of interesting. The old Curiosity Shop, that part of that I can make that show through. Okay, so I've selected my paper and I'm going to actually keep it. I will double it up probably just because the paper is fairly thin. Well, I guess I'll figure that out. I will either double it up or I will separate it and add some backing, for a journaling space. And because that paper has a bit of, coloration to it, I wouldn't pick just a pure white paper to back it with. So let's try to figure out where I should be putting the glue, because I don't really want to do the pencil line if I can get away from it. So we see that, basically if I go just a bit above the title and about an inch below where the text ends, I should be pretty well perfect. If I had a scrap, well, maybe I don't need to bother showing you the wrong way. Let's not go there. This is getting close to the end here. So again, the glue stick, of course, is going to dry clear, and it's going to dry quickly. I'm probably putting more glue on here than I absolutely need, but sometimes that maybe is better than having to do the, the touch-ups. Now, this is a pretty small piece of napkin. Now, in the past, I might have used a card, like a credit card or a hotel key, to spread it out. That could be dangerous. That could rip the napkin. I don't think all napkins are created equal, to be honest. But I suppose I could use a brayer. Whoa. Is that not just perfect? Now, yes, there is some surplus glue, but I'm going to use all my self-control, and I'm not going to touch it. And then when it's dry, if there's still an issue, I will worry about it then. But could that be any easier? Now, of course, on a bigger surface, and we'll do one of those just for the heck of it, on a bigger, maybe we want, do we want some music page? Since this whole idea was to get some more work done for my blush journal, maybe I'd better use this napkin. And you can see that music shows through. So what do I want to do here? It would be more difficult, excuse me, to put down a piece this size wrinkle-free or without tearing it in some way. So just accept the fact that that is probably going to happen, and don't worry about it. Don't stress about it. But let's think this through. This page, I could turn this into, okay, why don't I do this? Let me measure. That's such a long ruler, and it just irks me how it's got that bend in it. Every so often I try to straighten it out, but it doesn't seem like it's doing anything. Okay, so what I'm going to do is mark maybe at the 8-inch. 8-inch. Maybe I should do it on this side too. I'm going to make a folio here. Oh, that's not going to want to show there very well. That will have napkin on at least one of the pages, and we'll also have a couple of pockets. Now, can I see any of those marks whatsoever? There's one there. There's the other one. This is probably going to be impossible to see. I'll just carry on and hope that it's pretty good. And of course, it isn't exactly good. Okay, so we know that that is roughly the area that we're working with. So maybe just for simplicity's sake, I'll work on this side of it. Now, I could go solid. That would probably be the easiest, although you kind of have to sometimes do it in stages. But do I want that? Let's maybe do... Okay, I'm just going to roughly cut some of this excess off so that I don't have things getting in my way. So just to have a little ease, I would never think of, cutting it exactly, because that guarantees that it won't go on straight. And then I'll end up having to trim my pages or something. Boy, these scissors. They don't seem to want to cut through this very thin paper. And I will give a little extra at the top as well. And of course, I save this for something else. And of course, you can, maybe if I was decorating a card or something, I would just tear around that rose and a couple of leaves and, glue it onto a playing card or something like that. Okay, that's the way she opens up. I've cut it bigger all around than necessary. That gives me a little more. I think I better have a new one handy. And let me pull this gluey thing in here. Hardly fits on there. Okay, so again, I'm adding my glue to this as opposed to the napkin. Now, if you can see that I'm overlapping, I'm doing repeated strokes, but you know what? I'm probably still going to miss a spot. That just seems to be Murphy's Law. And it's a pain in the you-know-where. So I would suggest that once you think you have the glue on, maybe just hold it up, look at it from a different angle, hold it up, and if you can possibly spot an area that is not shiny, then you know that you've missed something. And try to remedy it at this stage, because it is annoying when you get something, you get your napkin glued down, then you realize, oh, right in the middle of the design, it's not adhering because you missed a quarter of an inch or something. Okay, the moment of truth. Okay, so the best bet, I would say, is to start at one end. Like, don't, lay it down and hope for the best. We know I have surplus, so I can kind of just gingerly lay part of this down, smooth it kind of as I go. I didn't mean for it to touch there just yet. I thought I was still above it. You can see that, you've got a little bit of working grace there. So again, I'm just using my fingers to smooth it out. And, it's not a race, so if you take a little time and do it in stages, chances are you're going to be happier with your result, and you're not going to have to pull it up umpteen times until it tears, whichever comes first. And then have to deal with some other problem that has been created. So that, I have to say, looks pretty darn good. And look how the napkin almost becomes translucent, and the music shows through. Now, I have been known to be impatient and maybe just start ripping, away from. But what does that really help me at this point? I still would have to go back and clean that up. So let's pretend that I'm all grown up and I've learned from past mistakes and just leave it. And then when everything is dried, then trim it with a nice clean edge. Another thing that people sometimes do, especially on something thicker, like say for instance, if you were putting napkin on a playing card, it's a heavier paper, it's got kind of an edge to it. Using let me just reach for it. Using a sanding block. I know, some people say, no, it's not a block, it's a sponge. Sanding block, like this. Again, with your strokes away from, like you wouldn't want to be pulling towards yourself, because that's just asking to have it tear away. You want to go in the direction that you're trying to adhere it. So that works like an absolute charm to get a finished edge around something that may be difficult to trim around otherwise. So anyway, I just realized that I never think of using this. See, I do have clean ones. I'm going to, just poked myself. I'm going to keep one front and center to remember to use it for something else that I have in mind. Okay, guys, I think that is about all I wanted to say. So again, put away your watered down white glue, put away your Mod Podge, and give a glue stick a try, and you will become a believer. And, I'm sure as I continue working on where did I put those other things? As I continue working on, right here, on the blush journal and the purple journal, that you will see some of these things again. And it's quick and it's so satisfying and they're so beautiful, especially if you get napkins that are gorgeous to begin with. So I hope this has taken some of the mystery away. I should put this guy under my little pad here. Has taken some of the mystery away and emboldened you to try working with napkins, because I think, isn't that just the sweetest thing ever? Well, all of these things. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for joining me. And, we'll see you in the next one. Bye.